Time to ask the question, is Nikola Jokic the greatest of all time? Like, the question deserves to be asked, and we will ask it. What about Cam Johnson and Christian Brown? What about what's real about the Nuggets and what's not? How many games can the Nuggets win? We're going to tell you coming up on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being an everydayer, making us your first listening, and helping us be the #1 podcast network according to various things that we have researched. We are the #1 podcast network here on Locked On Podcast Network. We appreciate you guys being part of the show. We appreciate you joining us, whether you're on YouTube or listening to us on the podcast. There's so many folks that don't comment, that don't listen, that don't tweet, and we appreciate each and every one of you, as well as the folks that join us on our live shows. Hit us up in the comments, reply in the YouTube chat, tweet at us on Twitter, leave us 5-star reviews. All of your feedback is appreciated. It's a gift, and we're thankful to have each and every one of you. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I write the Denver Dig, where I got a piece coming up on some interesting stuff I noticed and how teams are guarding the Nuggets when Cameron Johnson is on and off the floor, which will be very interesting over at the Dig. I've been covering the Denver Nuggets for 14 seasons as a credentialed reporter. I'm joined by Swipa from at Swipacam on Twitter, on YouTube, Player's Choice. I've got to write down the name of your NFL show because I can never remember the name of it. What's the name of the NFL show?
Well, on the Locked On Network, it is Locked On NFL Game Night every Sunday, and then the Press Box every Wednesday and Sunday morning.
Cool. That's Swipa. Make sure to support his stuff because he's the man. On today's show, we're going to talk about how many games the Nuggets can win, what's real about the team, what's maybe not. We're going to get into Cam Johnson and Christian Brown spacing stuff, all that and more. But we're going to start today with this question. So swipe on Locked On and on Locked On NBA Daily. I was on today. And we had the question of okay, look at the resume, look at the accomplishments, look how great he is. Where does where would you honestly rank Nikola Jokic all time? And what was interesting is when I looked at it, man, and you'll appreciate this as somebody else who appreciates history. And I try very hard whenever I can to try and find concrete stuff to compare. And so what I kind of thought was interesting is the top 7 guys on any sort of all-time list. I looked at Bleacher Reports just because I chose one at random to kind of select from. Everybody's got a list. But I looked at the top 7 guys on Bleacher Report. Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Russell, Shaq, and Duncan. All those guys have 4+ titles. Okay, fair enough. That's a pretty good list there. All two-way players, all incredible, etc. What is interesting is after those 7, from 8 to 20, the average number of titles is just 2. The average MVPs is just 1. So this prompted a question from Hayes, actually. I didn't bring it up. Hayes asked the question of how much do the MVPs make up for the titles? And I don't really know how to do that. What I do know, man, is I don't know that I have ever seen anyone play basketball better. There is no criticism you can levy against him at this moment in time. Nikola Jokic is scoring in volume to score 50+ points a game several times. He is the primary engine, the engine on the best offense in the league that's going to on pace to set records. He has an extremely high assist rate with an extremely low turnover rate. And he doesn't miss shots. We could talk about the defense-offense balance, and that's all fine. But, man, I don't know how you can ever say anybody is playing better basketball or has ever played better basketball than Jokic is right now.
I feel like it's hard because do you think that most of the conversation when you start getting into these nuances, you say Michael Jordan, and it's well, of course Michael played better than this. He's the greatest player ever. And then you get in Shaquille O'Neal, 2000 Shaq. Right. Well, of course Shaq played better. Then you start getting into LeBron, 2012, 2018. Well, of course, LeBron played better. But I think, Matt, just honestly, I've been looking into the numbers and, the statistics, the playmaking, the passing, the shooting, and then the defense this year, too. And I'm just kind of Matt, he's 101 of 129 from 2 this year. That's 78%. And just for context, he's shooting 87% at the rim. He's shooting 70% from floater range. He's shooting 81% from mid-range and 41.7% from 3. And Matt, on the year, he's at 28.8 points per game on 77 true shooting with 12 assists. But Matt, what you might not know is that if you just filter out the Golden State Warriors game in which he was 2 of 13 from 3, he's at 29.6, Matt, and you'll love this, on 82 true shooting since game 1. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, Matt, I don't know what else to do with that. I don't know how to contextualize it. Like, is it, do we have to Wilt Chamberlain 50.25 assist this because he played every possession at the fastest pace of all time? Great season, but that's just, it's a historical anomaly because it was impossible to do that ever since. Like, how do I talk about this? Because people literally yesterday, Matt, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I made the argument Jokic is the best scorer in the league the last few years, and people lost their mind. And then, Matt, the day it goes out, 55 points on 91 true shooting. First off, it's the most efficient 50-point game for a center in NBA history. And you're muted, by the way. And then 25 points in quarter 1.
But, like, here's the thing. You also, at some point, you got to not concern yourself with it because, like, the people that are going to argue against you on this are going to be like, they're not going to care about efficiency. This is honestly the true Hooper thing, man. And this is why it's tough because, like, I have a lot of respect, not a lot of respect. I think it's important to defer to the basketball greats, like the guys that have played the game at the best level. But I can't get past the simple logic of making more shots than you miss matters. Like, every empty possession matters. Every possession you don't score on matters. And with Jokic, when he puts the ball up, it's going in 8 out of 10 times from 2. Like, that has to matter. He's not shooting 10 times. Like, he's scoring on volume. His floater, his touch is unbelievable. Jordan didn't make teammates better the way that he does. He just didn't. Jordan was amazing. Jordan was incredible. Like, I was alive for Jordan. I know. And I know how inevitable Jordan felt. I get it. I think that I've always kind of said this, that there's two kind of arguments. There's the greatest of all time and there's the best of all time. And, like, I've said for a while that I think, and I'm not concrete on this, I think KD might have been the best I've ever seen. If we just look at just like what goes into playing the game of basketball. But to do that, I have to almost remove passing. Like, is passing just not a thing? And it really isn't for some people. Like, the folks that are arguing with you about him being a scorer, those are the ones that don't care about passing. They don't care about it at all. It is simply, are you going to score 80? Are you going to score a high amount of points on low efficiency? Because they don't care about that. Like, they'd rather see Cade Cunningham skating the night, and Cade's pretty efficient overall, but, like, they'd rather see that. But man, he's just.
What was your feeling watching the game yesterday? Because this is Zubac, by the way. Remember, Zubac is the primary top of the list, best defender one-on-one versus Jokic since he entered his prime in 2020. And then if you add that, they got Brook Lopez because they wanted another big on the court 100% of the possession that Jokic is on the floor. So, like, when you watched yesterday happen, I mean, where did you go mentally?
A couple of places. I went to, this is how I wanted him to play last year in the series. I do think fundamentally, like, the spacing is different this year.
Yeah.
And, like, I went back and watched this morning, not only that game, but the other clips. And, like, I'm just like, I am telling you that teams are not, the paint is so, they can't, last year it literally was just like, man, just collapse. Like, just collapse. Like, maybe stay home and Mike. But even then you can recover in time. And now, like, they legitimately are just like, they can't. The reason that their 3-point volume last year, their 3-point volume was low because they didn't have the ability to create them. This year, their 3-point volume is low because they don't need to, because the threat is there and that's keeping the lane open. But, like, look, Zoo's right there and he's just cooking him. That face up jumper to end the first was the one where it's like, Zoo had to have been like, oh God, it's going to be a long night. Like, that's the one where you're cooked. The three's falling for him now. That's terrifying. And it's like, he doesn't have to play this well. That's what's crazy is like, I don't think he has to play like this. After the game, Ty said, we wanted to make him score.
Yeah.
And he said, I didn't think he'd score 55. That's such an evolution from where he was even 4 years ago when he won his first MVP. So he would in 2021, he would have been like, no, I'm going to keep.
Remember, he had a 51, 12 assists, 8 rebound game versus the Kings. And it was kind of like, very much felt like he was extremely uncomfortable with doing that the whole game.
And now he's like, he really is just like, I will hurt you.
Whatever you need.
Until you change. Like, I will hurt you until you change. And when you change, that's how I will hurt you again. It is marvelous. It is incredible. We are all, like you tweeted, that we are witnesses thing from LeBron. But like, we are witnesses to history.
Yeah.
And for as much as you talked about like Shaq in 2000, people would have been like, well, I mean, he's playing great, but he's not Akeem.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they would have said. And then after he won his third title, it's like, oh, he's better than Akeem now.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a question for you because I have an argument for the most important addition to this team, and I would like to get into why with you.
Well, let's do that. Coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Holiday season's right around the corner. My wife's already wrapping presents on November 13th. And that means it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to make your space shine. The best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. You can, I've gotten a great standing desk from Wayfair. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's so comfortable. It's really great when I need to get up off of my dining room table where I usually work. It's terrific. You can get those type of things there, as well as stuff to serve with. I'm usually the one that hosts at the holidays, so I need to spice up some stuff. If you've ever hosted family for the holidays, you know how much difference a few new touches can make. And Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAR.com. Sale ends December 7th. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. So, Swabby, you had a question that you teased before the segment. What do you got for me, man?
So I've been tracking this since game one because, I am like overly concerned with the playoffs and matchups, right? Like, I just think that everything has to kind of be, you got to be leaning towards like the end goal when you're facing the toughest matchups and you're being schemed against. What are you going to do? I would make an argument to you that Jonas Valanciunas is obviously an extremely important add to this roster. He has been stupendous. Bruce Brown has been phenomenal in screen navigation this year. I don't know what his grade's going to be this year, but he's been phenomenal getting around screens and fighting. Spencer Jones, by the way, shout out. His defense is tenacious. Like, those two together have been great. Cam Johnson, the spacing and stuff he's offered, the ball handling. Adelman said he might be the best ball handler to bring the ball to the floor versus pressure. I mean, the passing, the diving, the threat, great. But Matt Moore, I truly don't know if there's an argument. I think the argument for the best addition they made this year is Tim Hardaway Jr., simply because he gives them something they have quite literally never had. A volume three-point shooter with the reputation of a volume three-point shooter who is an extremely smart veteran, dynamic off-ball shooter who knows spacing extremely well because he's a 10-plus year vet. And, oh, by the way, Matt, did you know that this year, per Data Baller, in 142 minutes, Jokic and Tim Hardaway Jr. have been on the floor. They have a 135.3 offensive rating and a 106.6 defensive rating with a plus 28.8 net rating. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is absolutely lighting the world on fire. And just to give you some context, when Hardaway and Jokic are on the floor, Hardaway is shooting 41.7% from three, and he's averaging 18.8 points per 75 possessions. He's dominating. And with Jokic and Hardaway, Jokic has an 81 true shooting, 30, 12, and 14. They mesh so well. And if you watched that game yesterday, remember Hardaway had the three in the corner, the high release, and one. But remember, the next play, Jokic gets doubled on the post on the left side, Matt. He kind of fades to the middle of the court. He finds him. Hardaway's a foot away from the three-point line. Spleg out. And you can just see the Clippers sidelines just like, Like, what do we do? He has 50. He's scoring 55 points, and we can't double him. Matt, am I crazy to think that he's been the best addition to this team?
No, you're not. You're accurate. You're right on target. I think the difference, though, is I'm looking at it now, his expected EFG is 54%. His actual right now, Cam, is 61. Okay. His career, his true shooting plus, his previous career high via Basketball Reference was 104. He's at 109.
Yeah.
After being a 98 last year. His 3-point plus is 128 off of a career high in 2020 of 111. So these are numbers, right? But I don't think it's hard. I don't think you need them to just watch and be like, Tim's shooting really well right now. And man, like whenever I have talked about through the years of talking about, hey, remember when this veteran that you guys are killing right now had that great November or December? Or, hey, remember when we all killed this guy in November and now he's doing great and now you want the other?
So
like,
him and Cam are going to switch, you're saying?
Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah. Is like, you know, when you only see one pair of footprints in the sand.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Don't let that one let them die. Hold on. Go ahead.
It's still when Joker carried you. But also, Tim Hardaway Jr. was on his back helping carry the rest of the team. And like that's how that goes. Like Tim's been awesome. And I agree with you. Like I wrote about this week on the Dig about just it's their willingness to be like, I don't need to make this extra pass to Peyton Watson because he's open. This corner three with a tighter closeout is a better shot from me than an above the break three from Peyton. And that's why I was brought here. That's this is who I am in my career. A lot of it, I think, is like Tim's just because we've kind of asked this. Tim's like, I've just been doing this forever. Like I'm not. He's like, I can't be somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like that's a lot of it. Is it's like I'm smart enough and have done this long enough to adjust to what the team needs and what the coaches want of me. But I can only really be me. Versus like Cam right now is trying to be like 7 different things.
Right.
And that's part of that. And I think Christian right now is struggling with some different things. But I agree with you that Tim's been amazing. He's been a real boost. What I don't want to do is I just don't want to set the bar of like,
yeah, for sure.
And when people start going towards like they should start Tim, that's when I'm like, guys, you can't just be like, we're going to throw out the starting unit and bench the guy who's hot. And then when he cools off, we'll start somebody else. Like that's just not how this works. I know that you want it to, but the starters don't want that. They want consistency.
Well, how do you like the lineups with the first sub they go to, which kind of feels like that might be their playoff sub when they put Tim Hardaway Jr. in for Jamal and they run Christian Brown, Tim, Cam, and AG? Do you like that lineup?
So I like it, but the one that I actually want to get to more because I was looking at this morning, there are very few lineups with Jokic, Christian, Cam, and THJ. And I would like to see that staggered more. In part because like the limited sample stuff says that if you put AG next to Valanciunas, they overwhelm teams. They just annihilate them. Now it's like Jokic and AG are so good and AG's a really important team defender. So I get it, but I just would like to see them get more to that kind of a lineup. I think this is part of it though, is I think Christian's value goes up dramatically if he's with 2 spacers. I just think that's the way to do it because a lot of it, and we were kind of chatting about this morning, is along with, I went back and I watched every single minute of Cam Johnson because I wanted to see the comparison. I'm doing the same thing for MPJ last year to be like, okay, how are they guarding Cam compared to how they guarded MPJ last year to start games and throughout the year? I want to see that differential. And one of the things that's really interesting is like, if you watch the Warriors game, they don't leave Cam. Jimmy Butler is tethered to him the entire time. He doesn't take a step in the paint. Like Jokic is rolling and Jimmy Butler's like, I'm not letting Cam Johnson, like that was on the scouting report. Now, as Cam continues to miss, that might shift, right? And that's where it gets into THJ because right now they're and what's funny is the opposite has happened with THJ. They will dare THJ a little bit. They're helping up from the above the break and being like, well, we got to tag the roll man. And the Nuggets are like, if you're going to leave THJ open, we're going to let him shoot and he's going to kill you. But with Cam, like they're genuinely not leaving him. Like they're tethered to him wherever he is. And again, that gets to why that paint is so wide open. With Christian, though, I am almost to the point of like, you can't put Christian in the corner. Like, you can't, because that's where they're helping from now, is they are very much like, yeah, not really worried about Christian in the corner.
Do you think that can change this year?
I mean, yeah, if he goes on a tear, if his shot settles down, which it can, and he rattles off, if he shoots like Russell Westbrook did last year from the corners, that was for Ryan Blackburn.
I feel like the best place for him to be is at the top.
Right.
Because especially on the Jokic post, it's easier for Jokic if you double topside off Christian and then you force rotation to the corner, like pass away. Like, I just feel like that's easier on Jokic to have to worry about that, because what happens is if you're weak side and then they're doubling off weak side, they're sending help underneath the rim. I don't want that. Like, no more bodies in the paint. Like, double topside, I can see you, and then now we can rotate, cut, do whatever we need.
And that's part of it, is like when they run that split action up top, they're getting something good out of it 90% of the time. The Blazers did a good job of shutting it off, and the Heat before Bam went down actually did a really great job, because Bam was like navigating all of it, but then Bam went out and they killed him. You're just going to generate so much if you have Christian either screening or coming off of a screen towards Jokic, you're going to generate a good shot almost every single time. But the problem with that is, like, how can I put this? They want everybody to touch it. Like, they want everybody to share the ball and everybody to get opportunities, and they want to get the defense in rotation. And it's almost like you could just spam this action and create good enough shots out of it, and that's hard to do in the regular season. You want to, like, it's one of the really weird things about it, because fans and I think analysts are always trying to go from the shortest line between A and B. Like, if this works, why don't you just do it every single time? And the answer is like, well, because eventually they will adjust, and you want to not know how. Like, you don't want to be in a situation where you can't run other stuff. But when Christian is running that split action, it's insane. Like, it's legitimately insane. And I will say also, any time that there's a defensive breakdown on him, and it is 95% Jokic, but it's also with JV or Jamal in the non-Jokic minutes. Like, they find him, he always catches it, he always finishes. But there's all of those, like, I just think it's interesting to look at the spacing differentials with some of this and how teams are guarding him. And I do think that there's been like a very big change in how teams are guarding Christian Braun this year.
Well, what's funny is when they run that play, the set the back screen for AG or whoever else it is, or whoever, like, when they run that action, him and Tim Hardaway both run it, but the defense is scared of them for different reasons. Brown is going down, like when he gets it and goes down, bucket. But Hardaway, it's like, we can't let you go down because that's a layup. So we have to overplay it. But the issue is now, if he comes up on the handoff, it's like, you're cooked. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I love the versatility they're building into their offense. You know what? I want to say something to you, support you a little bit. I think Julian Strawther will get there at some point this year. I just think it's going to take time.
I mean, look, I like Julian, and like, if he was on the Wizards and getting minutes, he'd have more development time. I think it's really hard. Julian is just not a guy I think that can, like, they've stressed this when he's had good stints of like, that's how you stay ready, because like that's what they need from him. They need him to be like instantly good. And Julian's not good at that yet. That's one of the things about, like, if Julian can hang in the league when he gets to Tim Hardaway's, like, if Tim Hardaway was playing a lesser role in this team, Tim would come in for 5 minutes and still play the same way. No problem. Like, you do it enough and you get comfortable with it.
Right.
But you go from getting so many reps to none, and he doesn't need to get more because he's not good enough. Like, that's the dichotomy. That's the paradox, is like, you have to be good enough to demand more touches to get comfortable so that you're good enough to give those touches to. It's a little bit of a paradox. Coming up though. Okay. What's real about this team? And now that we're 10% of the way through the season, how many games are they going to win? We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. So I've got Broncos this weekend. That line is insulting. It's 4. That means if you switch home field, this is Chiefs 8.5 in KC.
Did you see the numbers that I think Cliff shared today? It said he went back to see 10-game win streaks in the NFL. This is the first time that the home team on a 10-game win streak has been a minus.
It's a ridiculous.
That's a Bo Nix number. You know that. That's why that's there.
It's a ridiculous line. Well, I saw this morning from Zach Stevens over at DMVR that Mahomes and Knicks
Respect
have
Zach.
the same numbers.
Great tweet.
Like,
Tweet. But
honestly, Knicks is, according to the numbers, Knicks is better than Mahomes. So I don't know why they're not favored. So Broncos +4 is one of my best bets on the weekend, which you can bet at FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. I am serious. I really do think you're winning this game. I have zero confidence after. I think not trading for Breece Hall was like a bad vibes move. And now I'm like, it's like everyone, like they're the Super Bowl favorites. And I'm like, okay, look, I get it. They have looked good. Like I feel better about this team than last year as a Chiefs fan. But like last year was all smoke and mirrors. So
I mean, if there's no J.K. Dobbins, no Surtain, and no Alex Singleton, I mean
but your but here's the difference: is like if you all that matters is your defensive line, because like PS2 never really matters, and so like the defensive line, if you're able to pressure Mahomes and just take away his ability to do Mahomes stuff, that's all that really matters. It's good that PS2 is not here because that he doesn't get exposed. That's good.
Matt legitimately does not think PS2 is like in conversation for best.
No, my problem is that he's talked about like Champ Bailey, and I saw Champ Bailey, and sir, that is no Champ Bailey. That is my assessment on that.
So he might not be the greatest corner of all time.
Exactly. That's how he's talked about, and exactly that isn't the difference here. Let's talk about the defense, man. So, what's real about this team? I think is an interesting kind of question. And folks in the chat want us to talk about the defense, and I think I'm doing some numbers on luck. I have a hard time with a lot of the luck metrics. The stats, the people that are smarter with stats than I am, which is a lot of folks, like those super analytics guys, they swear up and down that 3-point percentage is mostly variance and luck, that you just can't really, that the numbers say unequivocally, you can't really build a defense that contains 3-point percentage. Now, I don't know how much sense that makes when I see certain teams last year that were really good at it, that I know how good the Thunder were at contesting threes. They gave up a lot of them, but their contest level is insane. So I don't really know how to make what to make of it, but I will say that a lot of the numbers kind of suggest that Denver has benefited a lot from like opponent 3-point luck and like a little bit of like advantage on those type of things. On the other hand, Denver is 7th in opponent offensive rebound percentage. So last year they had a problem with the boards. They've cleaned that up. They're killing it on the glass. Jokic is obviously a big part of that, but having JV I think helps a lot there too. They're middle of the pack in free throw rate, so they're not fouling a ton. They don't turn you over. They're 26th in opponent turnover rate, but they're 4th in opponent EFG. And then when we look at kind of like the defensive shooting metrics, they are number 1 in opponent 3-point percentage. That's concerning. But they're 15th in rim, and that's better. Like, that's fine. If they're 15th in rim, that's okay. Jokic, I have no complaints about his defense after the first 2 games of the season. I thought the first 2 games of the season were bad, and since then, he has gotten in shape and is dynamite. He is disruptive. He is challenging. I think Jokic's been great defensively. I love the way the guys are closing out. Their rotations are sharper. They're not leaving open as many corner threes. I just think that they've been in a really good I think the defense has some legitimacy to it, even if I don't think that they're going to wind up being a top 5 defense when all is said and done.
So, and to be fair to your point, the Nuggets are number 3 currently in the NBA, and I think this is going to go up, by the way. They're 3 offense in effective field goal percentage. And then on the defensive end, they're 4th in defensive effective field goal percentage allowed. So they're like, that's a really good number for me. And I think if you just pay attention to the year as it goes on, 3-point volume is one thing, but I also think the Nuggets are doing a really good job of, one, making you find your bad shooters, contesting your good shooters, and not allowing threes to your great shooters. I think there's like levels to how you do that. One of the things you'll have to do is with Denver is your great shooters are going to have to do a lot of pull-ups. Now, they gave some drop coverage threes to James Harden yesterday, but the thing there is they're betting in Adelman and Jared Dudley, they're betting even for every threes you take, if you make one, that's 2 possessions we've ended because you missed those shots. And we get rest when we play drop. So we get to rest our defense, set our defense. We get 4 people at the rim, and then we get the runouts when you play drop. And I think some of this is just a matter of how to continue to mix in, when you need to trap, when you need to hedge. Matt Brooks brought some clips last night, and I think there are some things the Nuggets are doing. I don't know if you noticed this, Matt. When the Nuggets get like a pick and roll situation, they're also switching Jokic onto the primary ball handler. But what's happening is they're switching and then rotating from the weak side early. That way they can get the shuffle. So instead of like in a traditional hedge, you hedge, Jokic drops, the corner man, they drop, the corner man sinks, then he'll go back once Jokic recovers. But then what happens is, a great passer, you find that little lane, and then you can throw the ball right in the middle of the floor. What they're doing is Jokic will then switch. They'll then rotate from the opposite side of the floor towards the man with the ball. And then Jokic then will fill and replace with whoever the worst shooter is on the floor. And that is a stupendous defensive adjustment. And I don't know if that's Dudley, if Maria came up with that.
It's Dudley. You know why I know it's Dudley? They did this with Luka last year. That's what they did a lot of. Now, the problem is it can result in situations where Luka would just wind up in no man's land. Like he would just stand there while stuff happened. The good news is like Jokic is pretty aware, and so he continuously moves, and that'll work. I'll be interested to see kind of what the adjustments are with that, but like that's definitely a Jared Dudley.
And there's only a certain amount of players you can't do that with, but versus SGA, I trust him to do it because SGA's his whole thing is getting downhill in the first place, and so that's a lot of staying big and staying in front. You play versus Steph. Steph is a 3-point monster, so maybe not want to do that.
No, can't do that.
Yeah, but I think like outside of like a couple of guards, I mean, versus wings, they absolutely should do it. I just think, man, like they're throwing so many different coverages out, and I think defenses are having issues responding because what's happening is they're playing very aggressive.
They wanted a lot more tools in the bag.
Yeah.
And they've got that this season. And that's made, I think, a huge difference for them.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, how many games do you think they're going to win now based off of the start?
Well, I don't know if you saw my quote tweet. I was kind of not messing around, but I was like kind of, there was the reporter for the Thunder where he was talking about their net rating and all that kind of stuff. And like they won 68 games last year. They had a plus 12.7 net rating. So far, the Nuggets have a plus 13.3 net rating, and they're 9-2. Matt, if I said 61 games is on the table, is that too high or too low?
Too low. I mean, it just is. It just is. Like I'm not kidding. Like it's like that's.
Wait, you moved from where in the preseason to where were you in the preseason, and then where are you now?
53-ish, 52. I think I gave an actual number of like adjusted of like 57 that they would match the one from last year. They're ahead of schedule in so many ways. They just are. And then, and like, look, injuries, Christian, by the way, for those asking about the injury situation, I don't have an update. I haven't talked to anybody in the organization. I don't like to ask questions about that kind of stuff because the training staff goes a little insane. Plus, there's an injury report that will come out at 6 Mountain, should be 6 Mountain for tomorrow's game. So you should know then.
Saturday's game.
Saturday's game. Sorry. Actually, there may not be one today.
Friday. So Friday, injury report.
Friday. You won't get one until Friday.
So Brown did come back in the game yesterday, but.
So do you want a good comp actually for the season? And we're running over, but I don't care. This is a really good comp because I made this comparison about the other team on today's Locked On NBA. So the Thunder are a little bit worse than last year by the numbers. They're off to this incredible start, 11-1. Oh my God, they're going to win so many games. And they are. It's true. They're better than everybody else. But their defensive rating is not as good as last year. And their offensive rating isn't as good as last year. Their defensive rating is still number 1 in the league.
103 is not as good as it was last year to start?
Schedule adjusted.
Oh, yeah, schedule adjusted.
So it's not as good as it was last year. Their net rating isn't as good as it was last year. Like they're a little bit they're overperforming expectations, just like a little bit. Do you know who did that too and then won 73 games? Was the 2016 Golden State Warriors. Do you know who finished second that season?
Spurs, 67.
67 wins for the San Antonio Spurs.
You're not there yet.
But I'm not far off. So that's a very good comp. Okay, that's gotta do it for Locked On Nuggets. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Boom and gloom tomorrow, 2 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Eastern. Swipa and Ryan Blackburn. Make sure to check out Ryan's work at Mile High Sports. Check out Swipa. And we'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets. It's not impossible. 67 is not impossible.